Hello, Charlottesville. This is Judah Whitcower with the I Love Seaville show. Hope you're doing well today. We've got some great topics for discussion, and we hope you're interested in joining us and commenting. We'd love to hear from you. We've got sad news about UVA's basketball team, if you haven't heard yet. We also
Watch the game?
No, I didn't watch the game.
Is it sad news to you?
Not particularly.
Oh, I'm not. I definitely should not be laughing because it is sad news for many, including yours truly.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not, I'm certainly not happy, but it doesn't really affect me too much. So it's certainly a shame, and, it's sad for our hometown team, but you power through, as one does.
Judah, words of wisdom right there from J-Dubs,
I do
Judah
try.
Whitcower, the great Bubini, the jack of all trades. Keep going, J-Dubs.
We've got, what else do we have? Trump Winery now making cider. It's wild.
That is wild. Award-winning Trump Winery, making cider, expanding their offerings.
Yeah. Good news and bad news. Well, depending on how you look at it, the bus drivers have unionized, and they're getting not just a pay increase, but I believe a scale increase.
I'm curious of why you said good news or bad news, depending on how you look at it. Why potentially bad news there?
Well, I wasn't. I meant in the next two things I was going to mention. That was the first one. The next one is redistricting in Albemarle, the Albemarle schools, and I think a lot of people with children in the Albemarle schools are not happy with that. So
Parents aren't.
yeah,
No one's really happy with redistricting.
no,
The curious thing is the ignoring of yet another survey.
yeah,
Is that what was curious to you about that story?
yeah. That was curious. It always boggles my mind when you've got something like this where you ask for input and feedback, and I understand that government leaders who or whatever you want to call school board leaders, when people ask for feedback, I understand that still things aren't always going to get voted in a particular way, but when you leave people feeling like they've been ignored,
It's disingenuous, is it not? Are we streaming to LinkedIn over there?
I don't
Yes.
know that it's necessarily.
We are streaming to LinkedIn. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't know that it's necessarily disingenuous. Like I said,
Saying fill out a survey, we'll consider your survey results, then ignoring them? This is a la rebranding of schools. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it with the cameras on, because you and I have some ammunition here. Ginny Who, thank you for the retweet. Viewers and listeners, give the show a like and a share anywhere you're watching. Hit the like button. Share the show. Like the show. Share the show. Like the show. Ready to rock and roll when you are, J-Dubs. Can you give me a passionate, like a J-Dubs? But you don't have to say, obviously, your name. Carol Thorpe, hello. Welcome to the program.
Jerry M's.
There we go. That was good. I like that little personality from Judah.
Alrighty then.
I'm ready when you are, my friend.
Let's see.
Jerry Adams. I like when you get out of the comfort zone. Try to push you out of that comfort zone often if you haven't realized that.
Alrighty then. Quiet on the set.
Don't you think I try to push you out of the comfort zone?
I'm sure you do.
It's good for everybody to be out of the comfort zone. John Blair, Que Pasa, Chico. Love when you watch the program, JB. Local TV watching us right now. Finally saw the Mickey Tavern news and the Daily Progress today.
Yeah. All right. Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set. Quiet on the set.
Quiet on the set, folks.
Quiet on the set, ladies and gentlemen. Good Wednesday afternoon, guys. I'm Jerry Miller. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love Seville show. It's great to be with you on a glorious and gorgeous afternoon in downtown Charlottesville. We're in the shadows of Thomas Jefferson's University, a hop, skip, and a jump, less than 2 miles to be in fact, from the John Paul Jones Arena, Scott Stadium, and the Rotunda. We're, 50 yards from the Charlottesville Police Department, a block from the Albemarle County and Charlottesville City courthouses, and right off the downtown mall, smack dab in the middle of a community we call Central Virginia that is roughly 300,000 people strong and extremely dynamic with its storylines. We'll talk that basketball game last night, humbling, humiliating, a game that I didn't make it to the end. I actually turned it off. I couldn't tell you the last time I have not watched a game from start to finish, no matter the outcome. But last night I turned it off with about 6 minutes left. I want to talk about it not from what we saw yesterday standpoint, but I want to talk about it from a cause and effect, next few days standpoint. Got some good commentary from Bob Yarborough that I will relay on the show. I want to talk on today's program another ranking for Charlottesville. This one, according to Yelp, who has massive following. Best top 3 in the nation, Charlottesville, for family-friendly travel. Whoa. That's a big deal. Top 3 in the nation, any spot in the country, according to Yelp, Charlottesville is number 3 in the country for family-friendly travel.
It's kind of crazy.
It's kind of crazy. That is a significant honor on a platform that gets a boatload of people checking it. For reviews, for suggestions, traffic in general, a very highly populated app, Yelp. Today's program will also chitta-chatta, Trump Winery, award-winning Trump Winery, getting into the cider making business. On today's program, we will talk about Waynesboro, and I'm going to ask you this question. Is Waynesboro what Charlottesville was 25 years ago? About when I arrived to this community, roughly 25 years ago. 24 to be exact for me, but right in that wheelhouse. RVA Magazine highlights Waynesboro in a this is what we experience visited commentary type of story. And it's getting some traction on the socials. We'll talk about that today. I want to discuss pay increases for unionized Charlottesville bus drivers today. And I want to discuss the redistricting plans, which we've highlighted on this show when it comes to Albemarle County elementary schools, with many parents upset and angry, a lot of them contacting us here on this Fine and Fair talk show. And we will close on today's show with some sweet news, pun intended, Sugar Bear ice cream coming to the Rivanna River. In the old, what was the name of that bar?
You're talking about the Double Horseshoe?
Double Horseshoe Saloon. Bingo. Used to shoot pool and do a little bit of gambling on those bar boxes at the Double Horseshoe Saloon. A place where you always had to have your head on a swivel. The Double Horseshoe Saloon.
Really?
Oh. It got rowdy in the Double Horseshoe Saloon. Bud Heavies and Jack Daniel shots in a bar that was very crowded, shoulder to shoulder, with not high ceilings. I think were probably 8-foot ceilings, maybe 7 foot and change. It made it for an intimate and head on a swivel experience. I will unpack that on today's show. Judah Wickower is the voice you hear right there. Wave to your fans. We were off yesterday. I'll give you a little intel why we were off. One of our tenants moved in yesterday, and it was a pretty significant move. And I felt compelled to be there from a supervisory standpoint, making sure things did not get Harry, if you may. This is where Judah usually gives me a zing about the supervisory standpoint of being there. Any zing you want to offer there? I kind of gave you a softball that you could hit out of the park.
Oh, I would never speak ill of my boss, Jerry Miller.
I don't care if you zing me back. I zing you all the time. I kid because I care.
I mean, do we really want to go into my feelings on yesterday's move?
You thought it was unnecessary for us to be there?
I mean, we certainly helped, but I don't know that we.
Not actually moving the stuff, we didn't.
No, we didn't help moving the stuff. We helped open the doors. We helped make sure that nobody smashed into any walls or windows.
Nice to be back in the saddle today. Put it on a one shot, then we'll weave you back in. If you could get the lower third on screen. Look, last night's game did not end well. It was embarrassing. And you have Stephen A. Smith, one of the most noteworthy and recognizable talking heads on ESPN, literally this morning calling for Tony Bennett to be fired. I think that is blasphemous and absolutely absurd. A sensationalized tactic by Stephen A. Smith, which he does often to drive ratings to his show. Seth Greenberg, former coach Virginia Tech, now a talking head on ESPN for college basketball, said last night's performance was an embarrassment for the Atlantic Coast Conference. Virginia basketball, in the first half, Reese Beekman sank 2 free throws with 9 minutes and 20 seconds left in the first half, and Virginia basketball would not score again until Reese Beekman's jumper with 16 minutes and 37 seconds in the second half. This drought included 19 consecutive missed shots, and it spanned 13 minutes and 53 seconds of game time and 59 minutes of real time, which of course included halftime. True TV last night was putting a clock on screen, but it had nothing to do with the actual game clock. Instead, it was a clock that showed East Coast time of when Virginia scored and how long the scoring drought had lasted. The game was probably the ugliest basketball game I have ever seen, and I think I had similar commentary with the Virginia Tech matchup earlier this year when the Hokies pounded the Hoos and embarrassed us in the Commonwealth Clash. Last night's was worse. Bob Yarborough, the king of Redfield's, watching the program. Do we have a photo for Mr. Yarborough that we can put on screen? As you rotate the first 2 lower thirds as well, my friend. Bob Yarborough is a man of reason, a man of temperance, a man of even-keeled mentality and demeanor. Mr. Yarborough, what's his power ranking, Judah?
Let me check.
iloveseville.com/viewer rankings. He's 27 in the polls, looking great in his Jack Brown shirt, one of the best beards in the game. He highlights that athletic director Carla Williams has a decision to make right now. And he also impacts, I'm paraphrasing here, that last night's contest has lasting impacts on the program. The damage from last night's performance is significant, Mr. Yarborough says. Look, I agree with Mr. Yarborough. National television pundits are talking about what happened and the fact that Virginia should not have been included in even the first 4 as the 64 field has expanded to 68. After what we saw last night, they're right. UVA should not have been included. And those fans of Pittsburgh and St. John's and Indiana State, perhaps they have validity for their respective programs being included ahead of UVA. And I think Coach Bennett does have something that he's going to have to figure out. And it's perhaps the fact that the game has changed rapidly because of the transfer portal and because of NIL. And it's difficult to build a program that relies on a system where members of a program have to be within that program for years to truly understand the nuances and the intricacies of said system. You looked at this year's team, you had Beekman, Dunn, and McNeely, 3 players returning with any kind of experience. Sure, Tane Murray was on last year's team, but he didn't get off the pine. 3 players with any experience returning. And this team struggled with the pack line defense. This team struggled with what Tony Bennett does well, holding teams to horrible offensive production. This team struggled shooting the basketball. This team struggled at the free throw line. This team struggled attacking the rack, and they played a version of basketball that was extremely unpleasing to the eyes. And I think Coach Bennett, as Jerry Ratcliffe said today on jerryratcliffe.com, is going to have to go into his laboratory and act as a mad scientist and figure things out. And I think Carla Williams is having a conversation with Coach Bennett, not about job tenure, because I think Coach Bennett is going to stay as long as he wants, and I'm a diehard Virginia fan. I back Bennett. If there's any coach over at the University of Virginia that's earned our patience and our trust, it's him, who resurrected a program from the ashes and turned it into something of merit. He undoubtedly did that. And Virginia basketball in 2019, that national championship, probably my best sports memory I've ever experienced. And it's not even close. But since 2019 until now, something is not sitting right. And if you're asking questions, these are the questions you should be asking. Is he going to change a system of any kind? Is he considering retiring? And who's going to enter the transfer portal? We will know very soon who on this team is going to enter the transfer portal. And I'm looking specifically at names like Dante Harris, specifically at names like Leon Bond and Elijah Gertrude. Do I want either of those players to transfer? Absolutely not, especially since Bond, Gertrude, and Harris have significant playing time in their future. But if you are a up-and-down athlete and a basketball player that likes to score, you got to ask yourself if this is the system for you. The transfer portal should be our primary concern right now, with a close second of how is this system going to evolve in this new era of college basketball. And I do want to highlight this because someone mentioned this on one of the socials. Coach Bennett took this team with this talent and registered a 3rd-place finish in the regular season, a 3rd-place finish in the ACC tournament, and secured an NCAA tournament invitation. And they utilized those accomplishments as reasons to give props to the coach, and I understand that argument. I also saw this argument on the socials. Coach Bennett recruited these players to this program. So their poor offensive production and shaky defense at times and piss-poor free throw shooting is on him as the recruiter, as the head coach. Scott Aaronworth, welcome to the program. It was hard to watch the Esquire from Virginia Beach. Scott Aaronworth's got harsh words for the coach, saying if he doesn't change things up, he needs to go. I'm not going to go that far. I still think this is the right man for the job. I think he just needs to ask himself if his system that requires years of practice is going to work in today's, air quotes, free agency of college basketball. I don't often lead the show with sports, but today I felt compelled after last night's showing, which was probably the worst I've seen basketball-wise in the Tony Bennett era. We'll weave Judah Wickhauer into the mix on a 2-shot. Kevin Yancey in Waynesboro, his photo on screen. He says, Virginia was in the game until the tip-off. Oof. He also says, if any of the starting rotation enters the portal, UVA is toast. I don't think McNeely's going to enter the transfer portal. I don't think Ryan Dunn is going to enter the transfer portal. Who are the key guys you want returning to this team? You want Ryan Dunn. Let's see if he goes to the NBA, but you want Ryan Dunn returning. You want McNeely returning. You want Gertrude returning. You want Bond returning. Blake Buchanan has some upside, so does Tane Murray. I don't think any of the redshirts are talking about entering the transfer portal. Let us know your thoughts. Put them in the feed. I'll relay them live on air. Good afternoon to you, Judah Wickhauer.
Good afternoon.
Missed doing the show with you. Ginny Hu, her photo on screen if you could, and then we'll go to the next topic. She is number 4 in the family. Love when you watch the show. Ginny Hu. Stephen A. Smith can go spend more time on General Hospital and less time running his mouth about Tony Bennett. I'm going to quote retweet that. And I'm going to respond, amen, sister. He's just doing that for sensationalistic ratings. Ginny Hu, we love when you watch the show. I missed doing the show with you yesterday. I thought you did a great job in this supervisory role with the movers.
Thank you.
This is what I found before we get into the topic. When you're dealing with service providers, having someone that is ownership or have skin in the game on site creates better performance from service providers. If service providers are left to provide said service without supervision or ownership on site, the service is not as tip-top, and issues can arise, such as damage to buildings and the property that ownership owns.
That can certainly be true.
So that was one of the reasons for us being on site on both levels. Luke Cole, welcome to the broadcast. I want to highlight Luke Cole, who's watching the program. He is a real estate agent with Log & Foster. And Mr. Luke Cole, you got that Lewis Mountain property under contract, and I salute you. In fact, I'm going to go to your socials, Mr. Luke Cole, and highlight the listing. It was the Brick Rancher in Lewis Mountain that he got under contract. And under 30 days, 303 Alderman Road. Mr. Cole, congratulations to you for your contract. I am extremely impressed with what you did with 303 Alderman Road, a listing that was positioned based on upzoning potential. He came out of the gates, Mr. Cole and his client, asking $1 million for the property. We'll see what it closes for price-wise. But regardless, less than 30 days for you, Luke Cole, is something that I will applaud, give you props on, and commend you on. A young agent doing, is this the biggest deal of your career, Mr. Cole? I believe it probably is. Congratulations on that $1 million rancher in Lewis Mountain, marketed and positioned brand-wise for upzoning, now under contract, courtesy of Luke Cole. Very well done. Charlottesville, Judah, number 3 in family-friendly USA travel spots. Yelp. How would you characterize Yelp in the app world? Extremely popular, would you not say?
Yeah, I'd say they're popular. They can be very useful when they're not strong-arming businesses.
One of the worst aspects of Yelp, and there's multiple class action lawsuits, you just have to Google online. Yelp would routinely call restaurants clients of ours, and the sales folks would say this. This is the Yelp sales folks. We want you to pay X amount of dollars per month.
Yeah.
And the client would say, we're going to pass. And Yelp would say, we're going to slide those reviews upward.
Slide the bad reviews up and the good reviews down.
However, they are well-trafficked, highly used, top 10 family-friendly travel destinations.
And it's a great place where you can find a conglomeration of reviews.
Conglomeration.
And it's a good resource for, if you're unsure about a business, whether or not Yelp is raising or lowering people's good or bad reviews. You can still get, I think, a fairly fairly broad spectrum of perspectives on any particular restaurant or business.
Mr. Luke Cole, the realtor with the Alderman Avenue listing in Lewis Mountain, says, thank you so much. We are excited to move forward. You're absolutely welcome. I would love to feature you on the I Love Seville show, Luke Cole, one day. We can wait till after closing and just applaud you for the effort that you made on this brick rancher. Even if it does not trade at the $1 million price point, the fact that you got it under contract in under 30 days, I'm curious to see what the final price is commendable and salutable for you. I sincerely mean that. Back to the topic at hand, Charlottesville, number 3 on the Yelp top 10 best family-friendly travel destinations in America. I'm going to rattle off the list. Fredericksburg, Texas, 1. I know nothing about Fredericksburg, Texas. Do you?
No.
I could tell you about Fredericksburg, Virginia. Fredericksburg, Texas, I could tell you nothing. In the heart of Texas Hill Country, Fredericksburg offers small-town charm just a drive away from Austin and San Antonio. I bet you Deep Throat could tell us about Fredericksburg, Texas, because he used to live in Austin. Number 2, surprises very little, Napa, California.
Sure.
3 is Charlottesville, Virginia. I'm going to read to you what Yelp said about Charlottesville, Virginia. You can find this online. In fact, I will take the link and share it in the comments section of my personal Facebook page I just did. I will share it in the thread on Twitter where this show is airing on. I'll put it basically on 15 Facebook pages, 15 Twitter accounts, LinkedIn, everywhere you get your social media. I'm going to write this here, share the link on Twitter. Judah, if you want to share it on some of the other Facebook pages, that'd be nice. Specifically, the group and I Love Seville Facebook. Take the headline and then the link and put it in there so folks can read it. I'm going to put it on Twitter now for the fans watching there. Seville checks in at number 3 overall. This is what they said about Charlottesville. You ready for this, J-Dubs?
Yeah.
Charlottesville, Virginia was founded in 1762. It's a booming southern gem that is rich in history and fun to discover. For fresh fruit and major views, head to Carter Mountain Orchard, named one of Yelp's top apple picking spots in the country in 2023. What? Carter's Mountain Orchard, which is amazing. It's amazing. It is a fantastic apple picking spot. Did you know Yelp called it one of the top apple picking spots in the country last year?
I did not.
I had no idea. Yelp also says this: there you can explore the grounds, pick ripe peaches and apples depending on the season, and sip on divine apple cider slushies. Satisfy your hunger at soul food spot and community staple Mel's Cafe, which Yelp reviewers love for its fried chicken, creamy mac and cheese, and old school family atmosphere. For adventurous families, take an afternoon drive to Shenandoah National Park, where a variety of hiking options along the Appalachian Trail immerse you in the scenic Blue Ridge Mountains, along with its valleys and waterfalls. This attention is only going to attract more attention for a town that is already rich in attention.
Yeah.
You have one of the most trafficked travel and food and beverage apps now highlighting Charlottesville as the 3rd in the country family-friendly travel destination right before summer travel.
Yeah.
Carter Mountain Orchard, we love. Have you been to Carter Mountain Orchard recently? It is always packed.
Yeah, the last time I was there, it was, I mean, I know the pie guy had sold out of almost all of his pies, and it wasn't even, the sun hadn't even gone down, and there were lines at every vendor in sight.
Right?
Yeah.
The Thursday night Sunset Series, good luck.
Get there early.
Number 4 on the list, Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. That place is bona fide. I personally prefer Duck. Kill Devil Hills in the 4 slot. Number 5, Breckenridge, Colorado. Number 6, Burlington, Vermont. Number 7, Ithaca, New York, a bit of a surprise. 8, Virginia Beach, Virginia. Way better beaches out there. No shade at Virginia Beach. Number 9, St. Louis. Is it Obispo, California?
Obispo.
Obispo. You know that one?
St. Louis Obispo. I mean, I don't know it well, but I know the name since I lived near there.
Number 10, Salem, Oregon. If I was looking at a beach spot, I just came back from Folly Beach. It was fantastic. Folly Beach has charm. It has great beaches. It has affordability. It has got bars within walking distance. It was a fantastic experience. Still, we stay focused on the task at hand. Number 3 in the ranking, Charlottesville.
Yeah.
Commentary, program is yours. Illustrious Judah Wickhauer.
I mean, I can't help but wonder if some of these lists are just
Regurgitations of other lists where list creators look at previous lists and use that as the fodder and foundation for the new lists.
Yeah, I don't even know that I would say regurgitations, but somebody somewhere sees that Charlottesville keeps popping up and figures, oh, they must be popular. So as they write their next list, hey, let's drop Charlottesville on there for whatever reason. I mean, I don't know. I honestly don't know what criteria they're going on with a list like this. Is there a national poll where Charlottesville came in third, or is it just someone's?
It's someone shooting at the hip. And it's exactly what you said. As we become fodder for lists, we become fodder for future lists because of the old lists.
Yeah. Because if you think about it, for any of these lists, how many people working at some magazine or some web list company like Yelp, how many of those people have actually visited even whoever created this list? Do you think they even visited
all these places?
One of these places?
No.
Not.
I think if you put the over-under, if I put the over-under at 30%, 3 of the 10, I would take the under.
I think I would too.
I take the under. Still, it's attention for a town rich in attention that may not need more attention, because as it gets more attention, the cost of living increases. A direct correlation between attention and cost of living.
I don't know necessarily if that's true in terms of people visiting.
How do you
You're
say
saying that people visiting are going to be so smitten with our small city that they are going to immediately put their house on the market and take all their cash and beat out someone with less money?
I think people that visit, that visit places can be romanticized or seduce or encourage, Curtis Shaver, I'll get to your comment, to move to said places if they had a good time. It's the 4-year UVA effect of undergraduate, similar to that.
While that can be true, we're currently looking at several increases to our tax rates.
Lodging,
and
meals, real estate.
And I read someone making an interesting point recently. If city council was focused more on drawing people to the city, that would bring in more tax revenue without the need of raising our own taxes.
Deep Throat, I'll get to your comment here. We got the local newspaper, local TV station watching us right now. If city council, which is done in conjunction, I got to offer some clarity here.
I'm not saying specifically that they should do that, but I'm saying the more out-of-towners that we have coming and buying things and paying for food and lodging.
Deep Throat's comments cracking me up here. I do need to offer this perspective here. The city council works in conjunction with Albemarle County and the Convention and Visitors Bureau. And so it's not just council, it's also the boards of supervisors.
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
And those that work in hospitality have been screaming for years that they can do a better job of marketing the area. Screaming for years about this. So to Judah's point, if you're looking to drive incremental revenue for your budget, the revenue you should be driving should be tied to the backs and wallets and purses of those visiting us in a tourist capacity, as opposed to the locals that live here year-round. Can't argue with that. Cannot argue with that anymore. Let's get to viewers and listeners, and make sure you get those lower thirds looking well. Curtis Shaver watching the program. He says, Ithaca is a great town. Lots of great hiking, breweries, wineries, and great restaurants. Fantastic live music scene as well. He lived there for years before moving here. Curtis Shaver, we love when he watches the program. See Shade.
My sister went to school there.
At Cornell?
I don't know. I think she went to Ithaca.
Okay. You don't know where your sister went to school?
No, I think you just threw me off. She went to Ithaca.
Okay. Did not go to Cornell, though?
No, I don't believe she did.
Okay. Curtis Shaver is a few strokes away from being a professional disc golf player. His game has improved dramatically,
Nice.
and he now has some sponsorship dollars. Deep Throat throws shades at the listicles. Rory Stolzenberg is also not a fan of the listicles. Planning Commissioner Stolzenberg. Deep Throat says, his photo's on screen, these listicles are a joke. And any city that crows about being on random listicle is like some idiot who boasts about getting a letter that, quote, you have been selected to be in the 2024 Who's Who Guide. A lot of people don't realize, like in magazines like the Virginia Business Magazine,
Yeah.
where they're highlighting the business executive of the year, you see this in a lot of law publications and a lot of awards that lawyers get. They're paying for these distinctions and these honors.
Yeah, you see that in in the magazines on flights, on airplanes too. Like they're
Like the doctors' awards in there.
yeah, you'll see like 10 pages of famous doctors, and sure.
Michael Buchensky, Coach B, watching the program. Mike Buchensky, his photo on screen, please. Curtis Shaver was 31 in the family. Mike Buchensky's got a beard that rivals Curtis Shaver's. Mike Buchensky says this, I don't think you can call Seville a small city anymore. Place is packed with people and getting more crowded. 100% Buchensky. I would call it a city, no doubt. I describe Charlottesville to friends when they say, what is the culture? Or what is the feel of Seville? I say it's the birth baby of Austin, Texas, Vail, Colorado, and Greenwich, Connecticut. If Vail, Austin, and Greenwich had a menage a trois and birthed the city, it would be Charlottesville. What would be your menage a trois birth baby for Charlottesville? Austin, Vail, and Greenwich. Boom shakalaka, Charlottesville born.
I don't think I have a clear picture in my mind of what cities would become Charlottesville if they
Try.
got a little
As I push you out of your comfort zone.
got a little too drunk, and
I'm pushing you out of the comfort zone.
No, I'm serious. If you want me to name 3 random cities, I can.
Not
create,
3 random cities.
I can create.
You've been to cities.
I can create a listicle of my own.
You've been to cities.
Yeah, I've been to a few.
What cities does Charlottesville remind you of?
I don't know that it reminds me of a whole lot of cities that I've been to.
Man,
I'm sorry.
Sake of a talk show.
Jason
Jason Howard watching the program. Let's get Jason Howard's photo on screen.
Certainly doesn't remind me of Los Angeles or.
No, I don't think it reminds you of Los Angeles. Maybe some of the places you've lived in Vermont.
I've never lived in Vermont.
Or, excuse me, Maine. None of the places you lived in Maine?
I lived in Portland, and
There's some Portland in Charlottesville? Some Portland elements?
no.
What's Portland's... Portland, Washington's is, let's get weird. Something along the lines. Their tagline, their motto.
Something like that.
You don't think Portland, Maine's got some feel, some Charlottesville in it?
No, Portland is sprawling. It's got a
Heavy in beer.
It's got a massive
Heavy in craft beer.
Yeah.
Significant in hiking.
I mean, I didn't even know about that one. I don't think that was a thing when.
Significant in hiking. Significant in live music. Great dining scene.
Yeah. But the downtown Old Port is like the downtown mall times 500, and I just don't see a whole lot of equivalence between the two places.
Okay. So Well, you brainstorm that. I think that'll probably come up. Jason Howard, photo on screen. If you get more tourists without enough hotels, that encourages more housing becoming Airbnbs instead of housing for locals at any price. That is a fantastic comment. And that is commentary that I should have mentioned live myself. Jason said it beautifully. He said if we continue to get tourists and we don't have the hotels to accommodate them, you're going to get Airbnb speculators, which changes the character of Charlottesville.
Right, but we're building hotels, aren't
And
we?
that's directed to you with the travel comment you made about Yelp, and does this really influence Charlottesville changing?
I mean, we are building hotels, right?
I mean, the hotels, try finding a hotel for an event. They're booked. And the hotels that you can book for an event, if you're staying over the weekend, especially during peak season, you're paying $400 or $500 a night. We got married in what? I should know this. My wife's watching this show right now. 2017, Curtis Shaver was there. Devin Barshaliska-Washki was there. Curtis is laughing right now when I said that. And much of my wife's family and friends were from Manhattan, Long Island, and New York. And as they came down the eastern seaboard to stay in Charlottesville, they all commented on how expensive Charlottesville was and how expensive the hotel rooms were, almost in comparison to the rates of a nightly stay in the Big Apple.
And that was back in 2017.
You can go to the Big Apple, and I'm not saying they're the finest quality places, and find, because I've done it recently, hotel rooms at a more affordable rate than some here in Charlottesville.
At the Thunderbird.
What goes down at the Thunderbird, Judah?
I don't think you want to know.
I'd love to know tell us what goes down on the Thunderbird. I'm all ears here.
Well, the Thunderbird was a hotel on the outskirts of Savannah, so that was the first thing that came to mind when I thought of.
Did you?
No, I never stayed there, but I drove by it almost daily.
Huh. Carol Thorpe watching the program. Her photo on screen. CT, the Queen of Jack Jewett. Number 9. Carol Thorpe says this. Are you ready? Judah Wickhauer.
Yep.
I lived in Ithaca for a few years myself, worked some odd jobs, did some theater, and hunted the campuses of both Ithaca College and Cornell in my early 20s in the 1980s. Swam beneath the waterfalls of the gorges. It wasn't much of what I'd consider a family town back then, so perhaps it has experienced an evolution.
Yeah.
Perhaps so.
Hunted what?
She haunted
Oh, haunted. Okay.
the campuses of both Ithaca and Cornell.
Gotcha.
Those gorges, notorious for Cornell students jumping into them and not surviving. One of the highest suicide rates out there, Cornell University. Did you know that?
I did not.
Very high suicide rate, Cornell. In fact, Ginny Hu...
Is it suicide if you're just being stupid?
No, this is genuinely suicide.
Oh.
The pressures of Cornell. In fact, a lot of people don't know this. We've Mary has got a little bit of that as well in Williamsburg. And it's tied to the academic difficulties. William & Mary, a lot of people don't know this either. William & Mary, people know this, but as if not more academically rigorous to get into than a University of Virginia. Now, much more are applying to the University of Virginia. We highlighted this, was it last week, 59,000 applications for the class of 2028? William & Mary is not getting that kind of ammunition. John Blair's photo on screen, number 2 in the family, please. Jerry, I think the New England comparison for Charlottesville is Burlington, Vermont. As to the West Coast, I'd compare it to Olympia, Washington, though it isn't the state capital. John Blair dropping diamonds. Love when you drop diamonds, JB. He says the New England comparison is Burlington, Vermont, and the West Coast comparison, Olympia, Washington. Viewers and listeners, if there was a 3-city menage a trois that birthed a baby that was most like Charlottesville, what would it be? For me, it's a little Austin, a little Vail, and a little Greenwich. You got the resort. You got the music, weird, tacky. And you got the OG high dollar money. Philip Dow, I agree with Judah. The downtown mall really cannot compare to like Vail. We have a lot of empty shopping centers. Interestingly, the downtown mall's vacancy rate is
Is down.
According to the Office of Economic Development, is similar to what it was prior to COVID. So that vacancy rate, according to the Office of Economic Development in downtown Charlottesville, is not a cause for concern. I don't necessarily buy it, but that's what the spiel, the Office of Economic Development, is spieling.
Selling?
Selling. That's better. Thank you. Next headline, award-winning Trump winery is now making cider. What do you make of this story?
I mean, I was surprised to find out how well they did in the Virginia Governor's Cup.
Dude, that's what
year.
surprised me too. Okay, you take the ammunition for this one. That's what exactly what surprised me too. I have it in front of me if you want me to read it. Or you could take it.
Well, first of all, they won 5 gold and 5ve silver.
The most of any in Central Virginia on the Monticello Wine Trail. Keep going, J-Dubs. I don't want to steal your thunder.
I was pretty blown away by that news, but I can't really say that it's, is it a bad idea?
5 gold medals in the recent Virginia Governor's Cup contest, the most of any winery in Central Virginia wine country, known as the American Viticultural Area.
Yeah.
It does not, in the Monticello American Viticultural Area, get the props or accolades it deserves, the attention, the championing, and you know why that is.
Yeah. I mean, it's obvious. But the fact of the matter
is it obvious for the viewers and listeners?
Oh, I'm fairly certain that they all know that one of the reasons there's such
the moniker
blowback about the Trump winery is because obviously the name on the banner.
Interestingly, though, not owned by the Donald.
Right. He gifted it to his son, and I believe his two sons.
No, Eric is the shot caller.
Right. Eric is the shot caller, but what did I see? He placed the business in a trust, naming his sons Eric and Donald Jr. as trustees. But yeah.
It is beautiful.
He doesn't run it. Yeah, it is.
It is beautiful there. One of the best wedding venues you will find.
Yeah, beautiful views, beautiful, just a beautiful place to visit. And
do you think they're going to go with growing their own fruit, apples, peaches for the cider? Or do you think they outsource the apples or peaches locally from elsewhere to make their cider? Or do you think the apples and peaches they use for the cider are going to come out of market and just be a branding play with the Trump cider label on it?
I don't know enough about the land to know if they even have the room to start an apple orchard, but I would guess that they're at the very least going to start with buying apples from somewhere else.
Do you think it's within market or outside of market?
You mean buying apples from Central Virginia?
Yeah.
I mean, I would like to think that the easiest thing for them to do would be to keep it in market. Obviously, it's close, and
I wouldn't say that's necessarily the obvious thing. Ginny Hu says
No.
she went to graduate school there. As a graduate student at William & Mary, we had to take suicide prevention classes to help look out for undergraduates we taught. I grew up in Williamsburg.
Wow.
I remember as a 14-year-old jumping the wall of the college deli, jumping the wall to get on the outside patio of the college deli, 14 years old, then sitting on the outside patio of the college deli as one of my older friends who was, I think, a junior or senior. I was maybe summer before my sophomore year. No, God, was I a freshman in high school? Perhaps a freshman in high school. And he brought 2 pitchers, each was $2 each, of Natural Light to the patio of College Deli. And we sat there. First time I ever had any alcoholic beverage on a location, like a commercialized location, was the College Deli in Williamsburg. I would hope that the fruit is local. I think this is a branding play, much like the Trump brand. You put the brand on something and you see if you can garner the equity from the other positions to drive value for the current or new position. Yeah. Time will tell. But what struck both Judah and I was this was the top awarded winery in Central Virginia at the most recent, was it the Governor's Cup?
Yeah, the Virginia Governor's Cup.
I'm surprised that is not, actually I'm not surprised. We explained why we're not surprised. That is flying under the radar.
Yeah, I mean, say what you want about the guy. Obviously, the winery is not just not just a front, not just a way to keep his name, and I don't know. They're obviously making good wines.
Next headline. I'm going to read to you an excerpt from RVA magazine. I get this text message from one of the viewers and listeners. I'm going to call him Big Jeff. Just Big Jeff.
El Jefe.
Big Jeff. He says, UVA has not won an NCAA tournament game this decade. Losses to Furman, Ohio, and Colorado State. Why is it blasphemy to question Bennett? My response to that, and I sincerely appreciate his comment. My response to that is, prior to Bennett, the team wasn't even making the NCAA tournament. Now the team is making the NCAA tournament. They're finishing third. This is considered a terrible year for Wahoo Nation. And we finished third in the regular season and third in the ACC tournament. And we were a bank shot three-pointer at the buzzer away from making it to the ACC tournament championship. He had inferior talent. There's no doubt he had inferior talent, and he's the head coach, so he gets the blame for a poor recruiting. But he took inferior talent and finished third in ACC play and was a banked three-pointer at the buzzer away from playing in North Carolina in the ACC tournament championship. I guess I'm trying to take a holistic or macro perspective prior to Bennett. Even in this tough four-year stretch, we would have wished to have had this success. He's become a victim of his own success, Tony Bennett, is I guess the point I'm making. You got the Waynesboro lower third on screen?
Yeah.
Thank you, Judah. I'm going to read an excerpt from RVA magazine about the borough. What's the nickname for Waynesboro?
Did we come up with one?
You patronize Waynesboro all the time.
No, I don't.
I thought you did.
I went out there not too long ago, but it was just a...
You got homies out there.
Yeah, I went to my friend's house.
I thought you're not patronizing anymore?
Not very often. Like I said, not too long ago, went out there. We had a fun game night, but I don't really see much of Waynesboro.
Okay, why don't you lead with a little Waynesboro chitter chatter before I go, or would you like me to go?
Well, like I said, I don't really know a whole lot about Waynesboro, but I remember that they had Zeus Theater. I think before, I can't remember if we actually had a. Was Zeus an IMAX theater? I'm trying to remember, but I think they had the first big movie theater before we did, and I remember going out there to see some movies at a better theater than we had at the time. This would have been 10, 15 years ago.
Here's some excerpts from this RVA magazine article. How does a town this size have an art center like this? Piper explained that Waynesboro art scene was mostly supported by private citizens and not the city. It's been a hard sell. This is an industrial town, right? So interestingly, we had GE and DuPont here in the 60s and 70s with a lot of presence. They brought in their own engineers and scientists from other parts of the world. Well, back then, the world was a little different. The wives did not like it here because we did not have the same culture they had come from. And so they renovated the theater. They built the History Museum, and here they are. They've supported us for many, many years. So these people who come here from other places were economically helping Waynesboro, but they also culturally helped us in a different kind of way. So the city has not largely been as supportive as the private citizens have been. The private citizens have made the city. Does that sound familiar to you?
That sounds great.
That sounds a little bit like Charlottesville and what's happened with folks coming to Charlottesville from the northern parts of the eastern seaboard with money and influence, changing what's happened. I asked the question, is Waynesboro, Charlottesville 25 years ago. As Charlottesville becomes more expensive, as Albemarle County becomes more expensive, you are seeing Charlottesvillians and Albemarle Countyans priced out of Seaville and Albemarle and heading to Waynesboro. You're seeing teachers, you're seeing nurses, you're seeing retirees. Realtor magazine a couple of years ago called Waynesboro the #2 place to retire in the entire country.
Wow.
You're seeing a town, a sleepy little town, exploding. And it's exploding due to its affordability. It's exploding due to its culture, due to its arts, due to its emerging restaurant scene, due to its emerging beer scene. Have you tried Basic City Brewery? Anyone?
Yeah, I've
The
been there.
Basque Dippa is
Liza's been
amazing.
there.
The Sixth Lord is amazing. Basic City Brewery has got a fantastic location for a brewery with arcade games, ping pong tables, air hockey, a restaurant on site, and a primo music venue.
Liza got kicked off one of their tables.
You go to Waynesboro and you see Liza the dog kicked off one of the tables. Fantastic value right there from our co-host.
There's also Seven Arrows. Actually, I don't. Is that still around?
Seven Arrows?
It's been a while. It's been a while since I've been there. But I the last time I was there, it was a great spot. They had some great beers. I had a flight of delicious beers, and looks like they're still going strong. So.
RVA magazine says, at first glance, it's like any other Virginia industrial town. With about 22,000 folks calling it home, it's a hidden gem waiting to be discovered. In Virginia's countryside, picture a scene straight out of a postcard. Rolling hills, farms, and winding roads leading through the sometimes misty mountains. That's Waynesboro for you, a cozy town settled in the Shenandoah Valley. But look under the hood, and Waynesboro's artsy side might surprise you. With its thriving original local arts and theater scene, its growing collection of regional street art found all over town, spots to grab some good grub, sip on drinks, and do a bit of shopping all up and down the downtown area. Waynesboro was Charlottesville 25 years ago. Maybe you go 30 years ago. It just hasn't been discovered by transplants to the frequency and proclivity that Charlottesville has. And it's just a matter of time till it does. Mark it down. Carly Wagner makes a fantastic point. Her photo on screen. C. Wags, #3 in the family. She says the only difference that she can see, or one of them, the role of citizens versus government doesn't sound anything like Charlottesville. Expand upon that, C. Wags. I would love for you to expand upon that for me. Deep Throat. If Waynesboro is going to boom, you bet. No doubt. I'm not going to read that one on air because I've been thinking about that conversation we've had for a matter of weeks since we had that conversation. I think that's still a fantastic purchase there, Deep Throat. No doubt about it. 1,000% agree with that, Deep Throat. And I could... Other comment here. This is from JB. Waynesboro is on the rise. The borough has really good city management. Mike Camp, the city manager, has been there for 16 years. Todd Wood, the assistant city manager, has been there a while and is a great guy. They do their best to implement business and resident-friendly policies. A city manager that's been there 16 years. Todd Wood, the assistant city manager, has been there forever. I would love to see the city of Charlottesville. John Blair, I'm going to give you some props right now. I would love to see the city of Charlottesville, and I'm not throwing shade on Mr. Sanders. No shade on Sam Sanders. I would love to see John Blair one day as the city manager of Charlottesville, and John Blair in that position for as long as he wants. As long as he wants. Retires in that position.
Yeah.
Would love to see that. Scott Aaronworth, says last night's loss was worse than UMBC because at least they competed in that game for the first half. No way, Jose. No way, Jose, that last night's loss to Colorado State was worse than the UMBC loss. No way, Jose. I ain't buying that, Jack. This one comment comes in. The lack of emotion or urgency last night was the worst thing for me. Someone needed to slap the floor and be a hype man. Heck, get a technical just to get the juices going. And they also highlight the bad performance for Virginia basketball since 2019. Look, I understand the team sucked last night. They were horrendous. They were horrendous. But the head coach took a team lacking talent and finished third in the regular season and third in the ACC tournament and made the NCAA tournament. He's a victim of his own success. He's a victim of his own success. If it was Leto or Gillen on the sidelines as the head coaches and they made the NCAA tournament, we would have been given both props. But because Tony won a national championship in 2019, he's catching serious heat right now. You want to go the bus driver, unionized bus driver headline? You put that lower third on screen? 1:31. Wow, time flies when you're having fun. Have fun sitting across here from Judah Wickower and talking to the viewers and listeners. Unionized bus driver, J-Dubs, show is yours.
I mean, whatever you think about unions, I think it's nice that the. Well, I'm not gonna.
There goes the mayor, former mayor.
I'm not gonna get into the,
The weeds about unions, so
Yes.
we can stay focused on the topic at hand.
Right.
Okay.
I think it's a good thing that Charlottesville bus drivers are going to be making more. I believe we're currently understaffed. I believe that we currently are using less than 50% of our buses because we've lost a lot of bus drivers.
We got brand new buses that are on the sidelines waiting for like a walkie-talkie to be installed in there that's not tied to parts made in China.
They've cut out a Sunday bus route. I think the only, I don't know, but the point being that hopefully this will spark some interest and refill our bus driver.
Can I tell you something?
Roll call.
Can I tell you something?
Sure.
I'm going to cut straight to the chase here and cut through the BS for all you viewers and listeners. Bus drivers do what? Very simplistically.
They transport people from one place to another.
They drive buses. The buses they drive are called what?
Buses.
What kind of buses?
I'm not sure what you're.
Public transportation. Right?
Okay.
Bus drivers drive people in a public transportation system. What is Charlottesville becoming?
What is Charlottesville becoming?
Richer and wealthier.
Less people who need buses.
Bingo. You have a community, very simplistically, that's becoming wealthier, richer, and more affluent. The profile of its citizenship is changing fast, dramatically. That profile is not going to be reliant on public transportation. We're raising wages on an employee that is becoming marginalized every day by the social fabric change of a community.
So are you saying that we shouldn't give them a raise?
I am all for the
or
bus
that-
drivers getting more money. I'm all for anyone making more money. Props to the bus drivers for getting more dollar bills, y'all. My point is the population that utilizes public transportation is dropping, and it's dropping noticeably. There's empty seats galore. Galore.
But part of the reason for that may be the reduced bus routes.
No!
You don't think that?
That is not the reason. The reason is the folks that live on the routes don't need the transportation. Not at the clip they did a decade ago, because now the population is so car-centric because it's got deep pockets.
Okay, but
We have to cut through the...
where are you going with that? Are you saying that we should have less bus routes? Because as long as there are people that are using the buses, shouldn't we keep them working?
Yeah, I mean, and that's what they're doing. But the reality is the future of the bus driver and the public transportation system in this town, it ain't that great.
Fair.
Now, the gondola system.
Oh, good Lord.
A gondola that has transportation a la a high-end ski resort in the air. Yes,
You really think
up there.
You really
a gondola that spider webs throughout Albemarle and Charlottesville and Central Virginia.
how is it going to spider web?
Oh, the gondola system, ladies and gentlemen. Every time I bring up this gondola system, the haters don't see it.
Because I think you're nuts.
They don't see it.
You think that's better than a bus system, right?
This is a comment from Deep Throat. The buses, by the way, oh, there's one of the buses driving by, not happy with our commentary right there, honking to get distraction. Deep Throat says the buses, by the way, are a joke. It's not public transit, it's transit theater. If you want buses used, focus on servicing communities coming down 29, for example. Having empty buses meandering at 5 miles an hour on routes is pointless. There it is. Dude, a bus just drove by there. There was one person on the bus. I want, ladies and gentlemen, next time that you see a cat bus, I truly want you as viewers and listeners to do this. Judah, you do this. I do this. I'm a social voyeur. You know what a social voyeur is?
People who watch people.
I watch human behavior. I love watching human behavior. Next time you see a cat bus drive by, look through the windows and see how many people are on the bus.
Okay.
Seriously. Everyone, do that. And we'll have this conversation in a couple of weeks. I'm all in favor of the unionized higher wage guys. All in favor. Props to the drivers. Get more bills. Get more money. Good job. Anything you want to add to this? You got a little worked up over there.
No doubt.
Got a little worked up. We got redistricting really to get worked up about. Put the redistricting lower third on there. The final Albemarle County recommendation for redistricting students is this. They redistricted 189 students. They moved 42 students from Stone Robinson to Stony Point Elementary, 88 students from Baker Butler to Holly Mead, and 59 students from Woodbrook to Agner Hurt. It's never easy for you to get redistricted. You are literally being yanked from schools and what you know and away from your friends at a time when you're feeling self-conscious and vulnerable and need the security and comfort of being around the people you've known for years. They took 108. Yeah, you know this firsthand.
I mean, not because of redistricting, but yeah,
This guy moved from California to Maine and from Maine to Charlottesville because of the cult Kool-Aid. I kid because I care.
And it wasn't, I mean,
You said last week on the show, you guys moved from Cali to Maine to follow the church and from Maine to Charlottesville to follow the church.
Yeah.
And I kid because I care. I have no problem with the faith. I'm a God-fearing man myself.
Santa Barbara to Los Angeles to Portland, Maine.
Santa Barbara to Los Angeles, from Los Angeles to Portland, Maine, Portland, Maine to Charlottesville.
Let's see.
And I made a joke after the show, not on air, that was like, that was a little cult-esque. And you said it was cult-esque.
A little bit. I mean.
And then that's where the Kool-Aid joke came through.
Yeah,
Don't drink the Kool-Aid.
I'd really have to unpack that a little more, which I'm not going to do. It wasn't a cult, and it may have had some things that would remind you, but I'm not.
We don't have to go down there.
Yeah.
Totally fine. Go ahead. What were your thoughts there?
I've been to, let's see, six different schools between kindergarten and graduating high school.
That's a lot.
Yeah.
6 different school districts.
6 different, well, yeah.
6 different, because some people would say elementary, middle, and high schools, 3. But if it's all in the same school district, you're with your friends. You went to 6 different school districts where you would change friend groups 6 times.
Half a year one school for kindergarten. Then we moved to Los Angeles, so I went to a different school for the second half of kindergarten. Then we switched schools, so I went to another school for first, second, and third.
You're an educational nomad.
Was it third?
You're an educational nomad.
Maybe it was. Well, anyways,
A calculus carpetbagger.
switched to another school for 5th and 6th. That was right before we moved to Portland, Maine. Started the school there for 7th, and after 9th, I switched schools again. So yeah, I know all about leaving your friends behind. It's not enjoyable,
Right.
as you were getting to before. It's not fun. You've got to meet new people. You got to make new friends. You've got to, it's just a lot of
189 kids redistricted,
yeah,
despite their parents saying don't do it.
yeah,
Redistricting is never fun. Unfortunately, it's part of life in public schools. The
Yeah.
storyline here that should be highlighted is the surveys sent out again.
yeah.
Why send out the surveys if you're not going to listen to them? The
And-
surveys were damning against redistricting.
And
Vehemently
it wasn't
opposed.
just surveys. The committee hosted 4 community meetings to hear feedback from parents. In February, parents of affected communities were asked to fill out a survey. And this is what we were disagreeing before the show started about this.
Disingenuous, I say.
After the unanimous vote, parents upset by the decision felt that their feedback had not been considered. And I understand that, but I don't think we have any proof that that the school board members disregarded their parents' input. Just because they voted for this doesn't necessarily mean that they already had a decision in mind and were just having these community meetings and the survey to placate or
That's exactly what they did.
what proof do you have? I'm not saying you're wrong.
It's the same people that did the surveys about the rebranding. It's a precedent.
Okay, that's fair.
We have the same people
Okay.
doing the same tactics, sending out surveys and ignoring them. The same surveys that were sent out to Meriwether Lewis parents who overwhelmingly said, don't change the name to Ivy, and they did anyway. We had a father on the renaming committee reach out to us and send us a very detailed email with a timeline of events. The renaming committee overwhelmingly said, don't change the name, and then had somebody in Superintendent Haas's office come into the renaming committee and said, oh, this is not a consideration committee, this is a name-changing committee. We're going to change the vote from public to private, and you're going to have to watch this video on DEI before you vote.
Thankfully, they didn't have anything where they locked parents in an auditorium this time.
I mean, good. They locked them in a room during that. And said, you can't leave until you watch this DEI video, and the public vote is now private. And then the name was changed.
So you think that this is just their MO?
Duh!
They make... okay.
Do you mind? Yes! What do you
Well-
mean? Respectfully, duh.
I guess you get what you vote for.
Respectfully, duh. That's the story. That is the story. Redistricting has to happen. It's unfortunate, but it has to happen.
Yeah.
The story is the process.
Yeah.
Last headline, lower third, if you could, please, sir. This is a good one. Sugar Bear Ice Cream is coming to the Rivanna River and the old Double Horseshoe Saloon spot. I used to shoot pool in the Double Horseshoe Saloon. 7-foot bar box, coin-operated tables, anywhere from 20 to 50 a rack.
You think Sugar Bear will...
Sugar Bear is not going to have 7-foot coin-op bar boxes
You don't
with
think-
buckets for pockets.
You don't think they're going to add some pool tables there?
They're not going to have Bud Heavies on ice and Jack Daniel shots flowing in an 8-foot 7.5-foot ceiling environment. Shoulder to shoulder, tank tops and camo everywhere. The fresh smell of killed deer.
No ice cream.
The aroma whisking.
No ice cream and beer floats.
Bud Heavy ice cream floats? I don't know if that's going to taste good. Jack Daniel's ice cream float?
Eesh.
Sugar Bear ice cream, I think you're a fantastic addition to East High Street or High Street. Is that East there? I think that's East.
Yeah, probably.
Your spot on the Rivanna River is fantastic. I wish you nothing but love and success. I think the taste of your ice cream is excellent.
Where would you get Sugar Bear?
What do you mean?
I mean, I've never had Sugar Bear ice cream before, but
They sell
sounds
it
like you
at
have.
a number of places. In fact, it's probably on their website. I think they have it at Marie Bet. I think they have it at Hogwaller. In fact, there's a Find Us tab. Batesville Market, Blenheim, Eastwood Farm and Winery, Feast, Foods of All Nations, Greenwood Grocery, Hogwaller Brewing, which I said, La Veille and Rose, I have no idea where that is, Marie Bet Cafe, which I said, Petite Marie Bet, Vitae Spirits, and the market at Tiger Fuel, Bel Air, 5th Street, Preston Avenue, Mill Creek, Pantops, and Ruckersville.
Sugar Bear.
Oh, it's at Foods of All Nations. God, Deep Throat knows about Sugar Bear ice cream as well. Look at you, Deep Throat. Foods of All Nations has got a fantastic deli.
And I didn't even know. I mean, how have I never heard of Sugar Bear?
It's everywhere. It's good. Go get yourself some Sugar Bear.
It's a Charlottesville company, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a Charlottesville company.
Well,
I'm going to read a little about us. Oh, their About Us page. Okay. Well, look at the
interesting.
flavors they got. Cookies and cream, Wild Woman whiskey,
Wild.
honey sea salt latte, passion fruit, creme brulee, vanilla plum blackberry, Mayan hot chocolate, call me old fashioned, emperor of ice cream, love you Coogan. Place is legit. They're opening, guys, at Double Horseshoe Saloon.
Oh man, honey
Later
sea
this year.
salt latte.
I know, it sounds good, right?
Dang.
That's what I'm talking about. Any closing thoughts for your fans, J-Dubs?
Yeah, I might have a closing thought or two.
I'm proud of today's edition of the I Love CVille show. I'm telling it to you during the show. Sometimes I leave the show and you have to hear this, and I'm not happy with how the show goes. And I'm quick to voice my unhappiness with the content creation. Today's content creation, I am pleased and proud of.
Nice.
Your closing thoughts, amigo.
My closing thoughts. It's good to be in springtime, though we started it off with a cold snap. But just a word of warning to people out there: be careful. There was a recent local wildfire, and we are actually in They are warning about the weather. We've got lots of wind and very little.
Closing on a high note, I see.
The
The wildfires of Charlottesville.
fires of Charlottesville. Yeah, high winds and low humidity for the next few days. So be careful out there.
Be careful out there. Thank you kindly for joining us on the I Love CVille show. His name is Judah Wickower. My name is Jerry Miller. We work hard for you. The only thing we ask in return is if you spread the gospel, share the show, like the show, tell somebody about the show. That's all we ask of you. We will see you tomorrow at 12:30 p.m. So long, everybody. It's a good show.
Yeah.
Proud to take show.